What's up, guys? This week we break down the good, the red, and the punches to the face. All that and more coming up.
What's going on, 5 Stripe fam? I'm AJ, this is Tanner McLeod. Before we get into it, become a member of the notification squad by hitting the bell next to the subscribe button. Hope you guys had a wonderful St. Patrick's Day weekend. That was a very good weekend for Atlanta United, as we know, when they ran out 4-1 winners against Vancouver Whitecaps. Now, we saw a Josef hat trick. We also saw an early red from Vancouver Whitecaps that probably changed the entire match.
Yeah, I think that game literally completely flipped on its head after that. I mean, if you have a red card late in a match, sometimes, you know, like after the 70th minute, you can kind of still have the same match. It's just, It might change a little bit tactically. The entire match changed the second. Because not only was it a red card, it was a penalty. So they went down 1-0 because Josef buried it. Yeah. And that, honestly, at that point, in my opinion, was the match done and dusted. It kind of ruined the game. And Josef even spoke to that, how they kind of lost their edge. Yeah.
For sure, yeah, and definitely, yeah, with it being essentially double jeopardy, with Waston going, essentially their tallest player and Kai Kamara not even playing, not even in the squad, it changed our whole entire game plan where we were very worried about set pieces going in, and then we just were able to just play freely because they just had to sit back.
I mean, you don't have to run set pieces if the other team never has the ball. Yeah. I mean, goodness gracious, we had, what, 72% possession?
Right.
I mean, they didn't see the ball.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, even, you know, we'll go into the heat maps again later. It was basically no defenders. It was basically just, here's 11 people, we have the ball in your half the whole time.
Exactly, exactly. And so, you know, let's get into the red card that happened that probably changed the entire match. So we see LGP and Kendall Waston, they're jockeying in the box, and it's, you know, it takes VAR to figure this out, but it's an elbow to the head of LGP. And so, you know, the VAR called into the head referee, telling him that he had to review it. And so there was a little bit of a video snafu, so they had to wait. That's why it took 5 minutes for it to really assess and really figure out what it actually was, and it ended up being a red card. What do you think of the call, Tanner?
At the time, I was confused why it was a red. I didn't really have a great angle from the supporter section, even watching the replay on the Halo board. From what I saw originally, I thought he had pulled LGP down or had somehow like infringed upon him to where I thought it was a penalty. Yeah. It looked like a penalty from what I had seen. But then, you know, even watching the replays when I got back, you know, home, it was difficult to see what had happened. Yeah. I mean, and come to find out, the best angle of the whole thing was videoed by a fan, and then it got put on Reddit. Right. And I mean,
from Orange FC, yeah, it's you know, it's a different view of it. It's from the Cole side of it, so you can kind of see. Yeah, it's you know, it's an elbow to the head, definitely.
Yeah, the thing is, for this angle makes me go, yeah, red card, 100%. Yeah. Because if you have an elbow to the head, intentional or not, and he has his arm up pretty high, and he's already a tall guy, there's no reason for his arms to be up there, especially his elbow like that. Right. It's a red, it's in the box. It was
They're not even jumping yet.
Yeah, it was stupid on his part.
Right, they're not even jumping yet because it's, you know, the ball hasn't even gotten there, so why is it that high, right?
The referee didn't have that angle.
Exactly.
So from what I've seen, unless there was an angle he had that I didn't know about, I have no idea how he came to that conclusion, because that's a really tough call and a really hard thing to see, because if you're looking from behind it, it's hard to see because LGP's head is in the way. Right. And unless you have an angle looking straight onto it from the other side, you know, it's difficult to see his arm up going to the face of LGP. Yeah. So it's tough, man. I mean, that's a tough position to be in as an official. And he turns just at the last second to see it, so he probably barely even saw what happened. The other part of this is if Escobar just makes a shot, no one really cares.
Well, I mean, the whistle happens before that, obviously, so it is like a tough call. But the thing that we really need to look at is the rule of being clear and obvious. Now, you know, the MLS rule is a red card if the elbow hits a face or neck of a player And, well, I think it definitely does here. But it's a matter of, is this clear and obvious from the viewpoint of a ref and from the replays? And that's where it's so muddy, very, very tough. And so where these MLS laws, if you will, it leaves a lot to interpretation, and that's where all this trouble starts.
I mean, I think, again, it really goes back to the use of VAR, in that if the ref missed it, I think it was an honest miss. I don't think, like, it wasn't like, not necessarily that it was like an egregious miss either, because it happens very quickly. It's hard to see. It's on the opposite side of, him, because he's looking at the left side of Waston's body, not the right. And there's a massive bodies there, so it can be hard to see. So for me, it kind of reminds me of one of those things that, like, wouldn't happen. You wouldn't get the call, and then there'd be retrospective action after the match where it's like, hey, we saw this guy elbowed him. He's going to get a 3-match ban for violent conduct.
Right.
Which in this case might be in his best interest, because he's not going to get a ban because, well, I mean, he got a red already, but it's unlikely that they'll increase the ban on him, and Vancouver's appealing it anyway.
Right.
But
which is hearsay, I think, from Sam Stechgall, an MLS writer. He's saying that he's hearing Vancouver is going to appeal it. So it's interesting. I'm not sure that that's really going to happen.
I don't think it'll happen. But I mean, it's a very interesting situation, because then it becomes, well, how often do you use VAR when someone goes down?
Sure.
Because I mean, a lot of those things happen so quickly at that, at the highest level, that professional level, that it's hard for referees to catch it sometimes. Yeah. And I mean, I guess that's what VAR is there for. So I'm glad that it worked, I guess. But
yeah. And I think, we got to look at it from, a Vancouver Whitecaps standpoint as well. If they're fans, they obviously vehemently disagree. And if it were reverse, if LGP elbowed a player in the box like that, I think it would be fair. I think it is what it is. I mean, it's an elbow in the box. When it's that high, I mean, you're asking for it. You're really just asking for a call. And so
you're going to be smarter than that. I mean, you can have your arm out, but I mean, he has his elbow in, like...
Yeah, it's a motion.
It's a motion. It's just not smart. And his defensive record doesn't help him either. Yeah. I mean, he's got bookings and red cards. Like, he's got a laundry list.
5 red cards, I think, 32 yellow cards in his time in the league. Yeah,
which isn't exceptionally long. I mean, it's like
so
he's got a disciplinary record. So it's just, it doesn't help him either. Right,
exactly.
But also, he got turned into a meme, so it's all worth it.
Right, exactly. That, oh my God, the him initially thinking that it was a call on LGP, maybe for flopping or something. I remember seeing it on the Halo board in the stadium, and I was cracking up because I knew that it was not that. It definitely could not be that. So his reaction completely, you could read his entire expression on his face.
The ref points to the penalty spot first, so what's he looking at? If he points to the penalty spot, how could it be a card on?
I think he was looking away. I think he was just, applauding somewhere over, I'm not sure.
He was so happy, and then he was so sad.
Yeah, exactly. And then
I don't care. He played for Vancouver. Who cares? Vancouver, he was honestly, he got the red card. He was not the dirtiest player on the pitch.
And Vancouver's manager, Carl Robinson, had a interesting thought after the match. He said that LGP was setting picks, and then he has a reputation for it, and that he was trying to block Waston in this play. But clearly, if we see the replay, it's no. I don't think he knows what a pick is,
no,
because that's not a pick. No. That's maybe boxing out in basketball terms, but if anything, that's the only thing he's doing. And so, yeah, no, it's they're just jockeying for space, and an elbow to the face doesn't warrant that. So,
no.
Yeah, no, it's
I think he's drawing a blank here on this one. I'm sorry, mate. You're not on it. Like, you're wrong. Like, I don't know what else to say. There was no pick. He had an elbow put into his face. Like, there's no he didn't obtain a foul illegally at any point in time.
So something that really definitely surprised us at the beginning of the match was the lineup, and no Garza was very, very surprising. So McCann in his place at left wing back. How'd you think he did?
I thought he did really well. I tweeted a bit before the match about how I thought it was definitely a defensive substitution that made sense considering Vancouver is and supposed to be a very dangerous team, and I still think they are a good team. Just losing a man in the 13th minute is going to change everything for you.
Right.
I thought he did really well, and it really I thought it showed that Atlanta United has options. Again, this is the second match in a row, though, that the other team hasn't offered much to do about anything.
Right.
So I think there's a caveat with everything we've seen with the 7 goals in the past 2 weeks and the 3-5-2 being amazing. And there's not just one, there's multiple. One, Barco can't play, we talked about that last week.
Yep.
And 2, we don't know how well they actually defend because they've still given up a crap goal in both games.
Yep.
They shouldn't have given up to teams that didn't deserve a goal, which makes me concerned. Well, what happens if teams have 11 men and they're actually trying to play against you as opposed to sitting back, setting up shop, and not trying to give anything away?
Exactly.
Because Vancouver's goal was easy. It was just a route one lob over the top.
Outpaced our center backs. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and McCann, yeah, I mean, I think he had a few good crosses, but in terms of having to do a lot of defensive work, that's really, what we're talking about is there's not much that he really had to do.
They didn't attack his side of the pitch very often,
right.
if I can remember. I mean, I think mostly because he tends to take up, his starting positioning is usually better than Garza. He's not as inclined to go forward as Garza is, whereas Gressel is always pushing forward on that right-hand side, at least in this match especially.
Right.
So I think that they didn't have the want or the need to try to push down that side.
Right.
I think in theory still, I'd like to see it done again against maybe on the road or against a team that's better at home,
sure.
where it makes sense to maybe have a bit more defensive solidarity,
right.
maybe have another guy that can, help clean up at the back if someone tries to play a ball over the top.
Right.
I think it's a good idea. But again, we'll have to see in a bigger game how that actually works.
Right. And do you think this affects Garza's maybe psyche or anything like that? Where
I don't think so. I think Garza's still the first choice left back, and I think that especially when they switch back to a 4-2-3-1, which I think they will, I think he'll be the first choice left back. But at the same time, it's a good option if you can go, okay, well, we have to be a bit more defensively sound.
Right.
Garza, you're an amazing attacking player from the fullback position.
Right.
You're always going forward. Alternatively, you're not very great defensively sometimes because you are always going forward and you are out to sea when the ball gets, played back in. McCann doesn't do that as much. We saw that at the back end of last season. I thought he deputized very well at left back. Having options at that position is not a bad idea or not a bad thing, considering that we don't have options at a lot of different positions. So left back at least seems to be pretty decent.
Indeed, indeed. Now, another player that did really, really well in the minutes that he was given, thankfully he had more than 40 seconds this time, was Andrew Carleton, our frosted orange. He got the nice assist on Josef's third goal, his hat trick. Yeah, I mean, that ball was just put on a plate.
Yeah, I don't think you can use any other word to describe that cross except for silky.
Yeah.
It was smooth, it was amazing, the technique, everything about it was just perfection. I mean, he literally put that ball where no one else but Josef was going to be able to get it. I mean, he put it right over the defender's head, right into the space in the 6-yard box that the keeper had no chance, the defender had no chance, and Josef just buried it. And if you give any player of, Josef Martinez's quality, those chances, they're going to bury them.
For sure. Yeah, and Josef Martinez had this to say on his first assist, on Andrew Carleton's first assist. He said, if Andrew Carleton's giving me assist, I'm happy for him. He's a player who's doing things well. Yeah, so he's, I think it's saying, Joseph saying he doesn't really care who's playing with him.
As long as someone gives him the ball, he's happy.
He can score it. Yes, it's great. Now, also, Andrew Carleton, he apologized to Tata after the match, apparently, in which Tata was like, you don't need to apologize, because of the goal that was, essentially that Route 1 ball, and it was off of his little dribble move where he lost possession. Now, if that's actually his fault or not, I mean, that's very debatable. It's just, you're going to lose possession sometimes. And for them to, for Vancouver to just be able to lob it forward and, score from that I don't really think it's his fault.
No, I don't think so. Don't. Trust me, that's no. I think Tata's right there. It's like, dude, you lost the ball. It happens. But if the team gives up a ball, that's just completely just route one lob down the middle of the pitch, and they score off that. That's not just one man's fault. That's the whole team's fault.
Right.
I mean, everyone on that. Parkhurst can try to do better on that. Uzan might be able to come earlier and try to stop that, be a bit more of a sweeper, be a bit aggressive there.
Right.
There's so many things that can happen there. It's not his fault. You had an amazing assist, and the fact that he got 15 or so minutes was 12 minutes. Amazing. Not one. Usually it's just been very, very brief time. He actually got a chance to play a little bit, and I thought he impressed.
I agree. Yeah, and for him to get that assist, I think makes up for any sort of naysayers that are like, he shouldn't have done that, blah blah blah. So,
I mean, that's his real. It's hard to be like, hey, you got minutes.
Yeah.
That's his first real appearance professionally, as far as I'm concerned. The fact that the other two, he wasn't on long enough to make a difference.
Exactly.
He got to actually play and get a feel for the game, and got touches of the ball. Right. And when he got time, he was composed in the right around the box and picked out a great ball. It's going to do wonders for his confidence, I imagine, and I think you're going to be seeing a lot more of that in the future as well. And again, that beautiful assist from Carleton set up another hat trick by Josef Martinez. His fourth in 23 games.
Yeah, that's 23 goals in 23 games. That's just insane stuff. That is a goal game. I know, man. And, so for that stat, he is tied with a bunch of active players, actually, but he is the leader in terms of goals per game in that sense. The leader is Stern John.
What a name.
Yeah, no, right?
What a name.
With 5 in 55 games. He's also tied with Diego Serna, who did it in 124 games. But the active players with 4 are, we have Sebastian Jovinko, we have Chris Wondolowski, and we have Bradley Wright Phillips.
Took them a lot more games.
Yeah, and also, of course, a Landon Donovan, but he's not actually in the league. But
well, yeah, he's in Mexico.
He's in Mexico.
Yeah.
But yeah,
sure.
So yeah, in terms of that, that is pretty elite company for sure. And I think it's a thing where Josef Martinez is he's just clinical, dude. He is so good, ice cold in front of goal.
I mean, he's a poacher. He's a goal poacher. I mean, I guess not always, because the second goal he kind of made a run there, but usually he's getting the ball right around the 6-yard box.
Exactly.
And he does not make mistakes when he gets the ball there.
For sure.
Also, he should take all the penalties.
And I think that brings us to a point where maybe it's not a comparison, but one person who's not maybe in the best goal scoring form is Miguel Almiron. He's being unfairly criticized in my eyes from some people because, well, he's not necessarily here to score a bunch of goals. He's here to be the complete player that he is, to create space for other players, to assist, and to also defend a little bit more now that we have Nagbe as his midfield partner as well.
I mean, the thing with Miggy is that he is that complete player. And you don't have to worry about him scoring goals because I think you're going to get goals from other places. But I think he will find his goal-scoring touch. Yeah. Even the best players go through droughts.
Right.
Yes, it's frustrating when he's missing sitters inside the 6-yard box.
Right.
Even the best players in the world have missed sitters inside the 6-yard box. I mean, some of the best players in the world have missed shots from even closer in than that. I mean, I can specifically remember an FA Cup semifinal where Dimitar Berbatov from Manchester United missed a goal from literally about 6 inches out and hit it straight over the crossbar. And he was the Golden Boot winner that year in the Premier League. So even really good players who are better than Miggy miss those shots. It happens. He had a phenomenal ball to Josef for the 3rd goal. Phenomenal. And it's not the first time we've seen him do that. He draws players. He makes such a difference in the team. And I think he'll come good. And I think even, when Barco comes back, he'll be even better. I mean, I think that Miggy, give him a break. You saw what he can do last year. He's played well this year. He already has multiple assists. He got man of the match last week. it's fine. He scored a screamer last week as well, so let's remember that last week he did in fact win goal of the week in MLS. So I'm going to allow him to miss a couple of sitters when the team still wins 4-1, and he scores a screamer every now and then, and he's still picking up assists. I think people need to cut him a break, and 3 games does not make an awful season.
Agreed. And now let's get into our man of the match. It might be kind of obvious, but I think we may have a debate here. So who is your man of the match?
I think in the fan cams I mentioned Gressel at the time.
Yeah.
I think now it's kind of hard to go against Martinez because he got Player of the Week for MLS.
Yeah.
He's up for Goal of the Week.
Right.
And he got a hat trick.
Yeah.
So I guess because he was the only one on Atlanta that actually put the ball in the back of the other team's net, I'll go with Josef Martinez.
Yeah, and I think I would be inclined to agree, but I would say there's a strong argument for Gressel as well. That the amount of crosses he was able to put in, he put in a very very complete performance. I feel like in terms of being able to get forward, just his distribution, and he did have 15 crosses that didn't hit the mark, and I think 3 did. But if you're able to get that many often, I think a bunch of them were quality. It was just a bunch of players couldn't get on the end of it.
I mean, he put a bunch of really great balls in front of the 6-yard box, and even the own goal was because he put another great ball into the box.
Exactly.
I mean, as long as you're putting the ball into dangerous areas, good things will eventually happen.
Indeed.
And he kept doing that, and good things eventually happened.
Exactly.
So I thought he played really well. It's making it tough for when Barco comes back because he's playing so well. Mind you, Barco is going to play.
Yeah.
And it was funny because I saw him kind of strolling around on the concourse again. I didn't say anything because I'm not going to do that. But it's just like, he didn't even have his hood up. He was just walking around. I'm like, all right, man. Cool. But like, good luck with that not getting noticed part, but sure. But I mean, he's making it tough, but Barco's obviously going to play. You don't break the transfer record in MLS and not play a guy.
Right. At least see what he can do.
You see what you have from Gressel, so that's good to know. You have quality and depth, and you have players that can come in if someone goes down. For instance, if an Almiron went down, you can play Barco in kind of a central role there, and you can still play Gressel in 3-5-2. So that can happen. So it's like you have options, and I think that's the great thing to see. But Gressel's played well, but I don't think he's really been tested yet at that role either.
It's true, yeah. You know, you need to have teams actually try to play against you and pass around you and try to score on a consistent basis for it to be really a proper test. So
I think LAFC will be that, depending on if Barco is back by that point in time, which I think he may well be.
Yeah, he's projected to be able to come back at that time, so it'll be very interesting to see how that team lines up on that day.
Yeah, because that's a high-flying team. So, but I don't think they've played anyone just like us yet.
Yep. And
we talked about it earlier, well, I specifically did, that Waston wasn't even the dirtiest player on the pitch. That award goes to that Felipe Martins. He can truly go and himself. That's my quota of swearing for the year, by the way, guys.
Yeah, so he's he was kicking out at all of our players. He kicked out at Nagby at the end of the match, and that's why that whole fracas happened at the end. And LGP had some words to say after the match. Yeah, he said basically Felipe gave a little kick to Nagby. Nagby got up and said, "Hey, what are you doing?" And so I just went over there to make sure everything was all right and to get in the middle of it. Then Felipe wanted to fight me. He wanted to fight everybody. I don't know what he was doing. Maybe he should go to UFC. Yeah, I mean, he's a dude that has a reputation for it. Michael Parkhurst definitely was talking about it after the match as well, where he was just saying, it's a guy that he needs to figure his stuff out because his reputation is pretty poor around the league.
Yeah, no crap. It's hard for me not to swear now since I've started, but like that was just absolute trash.
It was unnecessary.
It was so pointless. I mean, part of me wishes that we could play Vancouver again because he would get absolutely cleaned out. I mean, like, he's that guy, like, you remember that, and next time you play, fairly, I might add, you want to try to find the way to just absolutely clean him out, but fairly, and just put him on his backside. Because he's just one of those players, and the thing is, he's smaller than everyone else.
He was.
I do not want to fight LGP. He is not a person that you look at and go, I want to fight this individual. Brad Guzan, not a guy I would want to get in a fight with. He is going to end him. So I don't know what this guy's deal was for wanting to fight the entire Atlanta United team. Bro, you got beat 4-1. You were bad. Go fly back home, think about it, and figure things out. And stop kicking our players. It's annoying, and you're not good, and everyone knows it. Bye.
And so strange enough that the punches that were thrown in this match were only on Atlanta United player on Atlanta United player. So Guzan, you know, there was a cross into the box and Escobar just got cleaned out. And it's what he has to do, I think, when it's a ball that's coming in. You know, the goalkeeper just has to claim it, and you know, it's what happened. Escobar, I think, probably has a concussion. We're not really sure at this point.
If you get hit in the head that hard, you're probably concussed.
Yeah.
If you get stretchered off, you're probably concussed. We might be wrong, but he looks fine, and I think he'll be fine come the next match. So whatever happened, I hope your head's not hurting anymore. Mine probably still would.
Yeah.
Maybe the communication needs some improvement there.
Yeah, maybe there's the back line just needs maybe to get on the same page a little bit. Maybe it could have been prevented, but you know, I think it was brave of Escobar to go in. Maybe he didn't hear Guzan say anything. Maybe Guzan didn't even say anything. We don't really know, but you know, we hope Escobar is going to get well soon. And it seems like on social media he seems to be fine. He's taking photos of himself and all that type of stuff, so it looks like he's okay. But get well soon, and you know, we hope he's back in the lineup because this 3-5-2 definitely works with him in the lineup.
No more punches to the face either.
Yeah. So as we mentioned before, Josef's goal, assisted from Andrew Carleton, is up for MLS Goal of the Week. At this point, he's at 56% over the rest of the competition. There's also a pretty good competition with Sporting Kansas City's Graham Zusi's goal. So you guys know what to do.
It's probably the better goal, but let's just keep voting for our own.
Let's just make sure that we keep getting the W's because, you know,
why not?
It's Atlanta, man. Let's do it. But and he's also the MLS Player of the Week. Congrats to him. That's very much well deserved because that hat trick is just, it's money.
Yeah, both him and Gressel were in the Team of the Week as well for MLS.
Indeed, indeed. And so, yeah, both of those guys very much well deserved that. And congratulations to 3 Atlanta United players. They got their international call-up. We have Darlington Nagbe with USMNT. We have Miguel Almiron with Paraguay. And we have Romario Williams with Jamaica. So it'll be very interesting, though. Miguel Almiron will be playing against Darlington Nagbe in the USA versus Paraguay match in Cary, North Carolina. It will be very, very interesting. I hope they both do not injure each other at all.
I hope they both don't play.
Yeah.
Just don't play. Yeah. I'd rather neither of them play. It's an international friendly that I don't care about. Yeah. Neither of them play. Just sit on the bench for 90. Get a good time. Talk with your national, your friendly, people from your home country. It's fine. Right. Don't play. We need you against Minnesota and LAFC. And congratulations to Atlanta United as they were nominated in the Sports Business Journal as one of the sports teams of the year, and the social team was also nominated in one of the categories as well. That's fantastic stuff from the team. Yeah, they absolutely deserve it. I mean, everyone in that front office, from the social media team to the president, Mr. Eels, Mr. Bocanegra, even the Tata, it's first class, and Uncle Arthur as well. I mean, the whole thing about it, they are running it the right way, and I think they are trying to change the way that, teams work in MLS, and they're changing the game in MLS. And for that, I think they absolutely deserve this nod, and, again, we just can't say enough, great things about them. And in our very curious news segment of the week, the Georgia State Senate has officially declared Atlanta United the Kings of the South. Now that's very interesting. I don't really know how to take it, but
Congratulations.
Sure.
Yeah, it's great.
We're the best, and
Yeah.
I guess Orlando, you suck.
Yeah.
Then again, when you've won like 3 or 4 games in your last 30 or so,
Yeah.
you're not really a king of anything.
Right. And no, it's also, I think it pairs with the news that we just heard before, that you know, how good Atlanta United is becoming a part of the Atlanta community, and how well we did the first year with all the sellouts, the attendance records, all that type of stuff, has gone into why we were named Kings of the South.
I mean, you continue to see that as well. I mean, it's not just like the fact that the fans are so engaged. It's the fan base is so just multicultural. There's so many just dimensions to this fan base, where you see so many different ethnicities, so many age groups, from, you know, babies being carried by their parents to I see, you know, even elderly people going to these matches. You see people that come into the store, they're in their 70s and they're season ticket holders. So you see this incredible just mix of fans that have all come together to support this one team. And the demand to see this team live is so high that it's really difficult to get a ticket. I mean, you look at the ticket prices for these things, they're higher than some NFL games. I mean, it's incredible, and it's just the demand is there. And I was having to explain to somebody, like, well, why are there no tickets? I'm like, because when they don't have the top open, every single seat's pretty much owned by a season ticket holder.
Right.
And every season ticket holder is either they're going, or they're making sure someone else is going, or they're selling it, and it's selling immediately. And it's incredible. And when you think about all those things, it's hard to argue that Atlanta United right now, they're not really the Kings of the South. They're trying to become the Kings of the country.
So Atlanta United 2 are having their inaugural match of their inaugural season this Saturday, March 24th. And it's against New York Red Bulls 2. It's like a very parallel universe type of situation.
I wonder if the first goal will be scored at the back post.
I know, right? Will it be slid in?
If it's a sliding goal at the back post, I'm just gonna fully die.
Yeah,
like,
this is just like some like.
What is this witchcraft? What every single time? Please, can it please be a sliding goal at the back
I know, right?
post?
It'd be crazy. It'd be crazy. But yours truly will be there vlogging at the match, so look out for that vlog afterwards. It will be no doubt a fun experience, and we wish them well, and we hope that we can reverse that fixture that happened to us at Bobby Dodd. So
I think it's gonna be a pretty brilliant atmosphere. I think a bunch of people are gonna go out to see that, just to see what it's like. So I look forward to seeing, you know, and hearing from you how everything went.
Yeah, definitely. And they apparently already have their own little supporters group. It will be Footy Mop 2 that have their own little chanting section. So it'll be very, very interesting to see, and hopefully we can get that place, you know, raucous as well.
And our question of the day this week really revolves around that main flashpoint in the match, the red card. So we would like to know, did you think it was a red card? And how did you feel about VAR being used to get to that decision? Hit us up on Twitter and in the comments and let us know what you think.
So that's it for us today. Remember to smash a like, remember to hit subscribe if you haven't. And for Tanner McLeod, I'm AJ. Thank you guys so much for watching.